Teach me to profit by the suffering that comes across my path. Let me use it so that it may mellow, not harden, nor embitter me. I want to talk today about the beautiful part of grief and really kind of the beautiful part of suffering and hardship, whether you're going through a really intense, tough time or just in your day-to-day hardships. My name is Trisha Veldman. I am a speech and confidence coach as well as a spoken word poet. I am also the founder of a platform called Powerful and Poised, and you can find out more about me at powerfulandpoised.com. Typically, I talk about topics related to speech, communication, confidence, self-trust, and social skills. But life happens, and sometimes based on what's going on in my life, I'll share something more related to whatever is just on my mind. I've also posted a few videos about creativity and how to spark creativity and find your creative fire. Right now I'm going through something that is very difficult, and so the last few videos have been influenced by that. So in case you're wondering, what is this channel about? It's kind of about a range of things, but all with the heart and soul of helping viewers feel comfortable to express themselves authentically, whether that is with themselves, with the creator, with other people, or however it is that that applies to you and your life. Now, if you have seen some of my other videos, especially my last two, then you know that my mother recently passed away. And if you've been a long-time subscriber, then you know that she was sick for a very long time. She was told 4 years before her death that she had about 2 months to live. And in that time, I moved home to my small hometown in Florida to be with her and help take care of her. So did my brother. My sister lives 2 hours away, and we all have just been a very cohesive unit helping my mom get through that. And it has taught me so much about life and love and family dynamics and relationships and hardships and creativity and art and confidence and so many things. So anyway, right now I am still in a very intense stage of grief and grieving and loss. And I know a lot of people listening to this either are experiencing that right now, have in the past, or will at some point. But again, whether or not you're going through something incredibly tragic, or you just want to think about a new way to handle day-to-day issues a little smoother, then I think you'll appreciate and enjoy this video. What I really want to talk about is the beauty that I have seen in this grief state, the really magnificent parts that I never would have expected. Mostly what I'm referring to is the softness that I feel both in myself as well as in my loved ones. I was really worried about how certain members of my family would react and how they would exist in life and just be after this happened. So we knew it was coming at some point because my mom had been sick for so long and got the prognosis that she did. And my mom always said she wasn't really afraid to die herself. She had made peace with it, but she was always more worried about her family. She's like, I don't want to leave my family. And I remember her specifically saying one time she was just so afraid of the aftermath. She was worried what would happen to my dad, what would happen to her children. So it's my sister, myself, and my younger brother. And I feel like she can rest easy now because so far, a lot of her fears haven't come true. Meaning that so far, everyone has been very soft and kind and patient. And it's been such a beautiful thing to experience and witness and actually be a part of. My relationship with my dad has never been better. And I don't think it would have ever been this good if that hadn't happened. Same with my sister and my dad. And so, and then even my relationship with my sister, we've gotten a lot closer. We were already close before, but now it's just different. And the way that we bond is just different because loss and grief, I think, really brings people together in a certain sense. But what I read at the beginning of this video is an excerpt from a prayer from one of my mom's prayer cards that she would read every morning. And I remember her sharing this with me, telling me maybe a year or even 2 years ago, just about this prayer that she came across. She was like, I just love it. It just really helps me in the morning. Let things go. And so I've started saying it to myself every day. But the part I read at the beginning, I will repeat because that is kind of the theme of this video, which is, teach me to profit by the suffering that comes across my path. Let me use it so that it may mellow, not harden nor embitter me. I've noticed, a lot of people don't know how to handle grief. And when their friend is going through something tragic, they don't necessarily know what to say. You can check out the video I did about how to communicate with people when they're grieving, which I'll link to here. And that's okay. People aren't always going to know what to say. Even when my mom was sick, people didn't know what to say. And I think I did a whole video about that, of like, it's okay. You have to forgive people because they don't necessarily understand, especially if they've never been in this situation. And no one's going to ever be in your exact situation. So no one will ever 100% understand anyway. But what I've noticed is sometimes I get a little annoyed or frustrated or like resentful or angry when someone says the wrong thing. I'm like, how could they expect me to make a decision right now? Do they not understand that my body is just like, I can't even think? Or like very well-intentioned messages will just hit me the wrong way. But this prayer has reminded me to just soften, to let those opportunities or let those triggers be opportunities to soften so that it may mellow, not harden nor embitter me. I could resent the people who I expected to be more of a support right now, who are kind of not really being supportive. I could resent them for that for the rest of my life. Or I could forgive them and let it go and focus on all the beautiful people who have been an incredible support, especially the ones that I didn't even expect to be here for me as much as they are, and to really focus on that. But it's so interesting because I've seen this in my family members too. So I know it's not just me, and because of my personal spiritual practices, my meditation and all of that, and the mindset work that I do, but I notice it in like my dad, for example, in situations where he used to get really aggravated or tense, he's just like, okay. But it's not this like apathetic, like I'm so numb, okay, do whatever. It's this, what feels to me like this very genuine like patience, like it's okay, just do it. Like what used to maybe set him off, now it's just like, it's fine. Same with my sister. And it's like, it's just so nice. It's so nice. And I was thinking about like, well, why is this happening and how can we actually use that moving forward? And I think it's kind of an adaptive response of like, your body is going through so much and you have so many negative emotions that there's like no more room for resentment or frustration. It's like, it's fine. It's okay. But again, not in an apathetic, like, it's fine, I don't feel like dealing with it, but like a genuine forgiveness and a patience and a softness. And I think our bodies do that, our nervous system does that to save resources because it's so exhausting to get upset about every little thing. And then I'm like, well, we could actually use that all the time so that when little things bother us, like if you're driving and the person in traffic is annoying you, we could get worked up about that and use our precious resources, energetic resources, psychological resources towards that, or we can just let it go so that it may soften, not harden nor embitter us. And it's an opportunity to practice patience and forgiveness and compassion. And I know this is so much easier said than done, and I'm certainly not perfect at this, and I will never be perfect at this, and I'm going to get triggered by someone who cuts me off or whatever. But I think it's just a matter of catching ourselves and not clinging to it and going down the rabbit hole. So this morning, for example, I got an email that kind of annoyed me, and then I noticed I was like making it a way bigger deal in my head and going on and on in my mind about like this company and how they had wronged me and all this stuff that was like a little unnecessary. And then again, I thought of this and I'm like, why? Like, why am I bringing my energy to that? Let me use this as an opportunity to soften and just let it go. And I keep thinking of my mom, who's, I can just imagine, is in this state now that she's transitioned to the other side, where she's just telling me, like, let it go, just soften, because she would get really worked up about little things. And I just imagine her now being like, why? Why did I do that? Like, just, it's okay, let things go. That being said, clearly I'm getting a little emotional right now. It's not about letting things go and not feeling them. Like, I think it's okay to feel things. And if you're annoyed, like, feel it and be like, ah, rude, and then move on. Like, let it be a big, bold expression of what you're thinking, and then let it go. And so part of why I think I've been able to cope with my grief somewhat better than I thought I would, and so much better this week than, for example, last week, is because when it comes up, I just let it come up and I let it go and I let myself feel, so that then when I'm in front of a client or at an event or I'm somewhere where I don't have the luxury of necessarily giving into the feeling, it's okay because I've processed it, and now, like, little things can come up and I can notice them, acknowledge them, and then go back on about my day. But we need those moments where you just go 100% in on it and you just let yourself feel the feelings without getting attached to the story, which I've talked about in other videos as well. But the main point of me sharing all of this is to say there is a beauty in grief and in suffering that we could miss if we're, I don't even want to say if we're not careful, because in my family's case it just happened very organically and it makes me so happy. But I think it is something we can miss if we forget to check in with ourselves and we forget what really matters. So like I said, there have been times when I've noticed myself start to spiral and I pull myself back. I'm like, you know what? Let me just enjoy this soft period, because I'm sure it'll end at some point, but maybe not, because, my mom will always be gone. So, like, I'm sure there will always be a tenderness about me now. And they say, like, when you lose a parent, you're never the same again. So maybe I'll always have that tenderness, but I know too, there will be times when I'll get triggered and I'll be worried about stuff that's unnecessary. Same for my dad. I don't know if this is a permanent shift in his personality and he'll always be this, like, compassionate and soft and patient, or if it's temporary, or if it's kind of a combination. But I do think that any kind of loss or hardship is a beautiful opportunity for us to focus on what really matters and retrain our nervous system to be a little more patient and a little more forgiving. Because at an intellectual level, we realize what really matters. And then at a spiritual level, we also realize what really matters and what doesn't. And it's easy to say that and say, like, oh, this isn't important, they just cut me off in traffic, get over it. But it's another to actually embody it and feel it. And what I think has been so powerful is that even though I've done a lot of mindset work in the past, I feel like I'm naturally just embodying certain concepts that I've talked about in the past. I've written poems about them in the past, but right now I actually feel it happening in my body without me having to convince myself that it's true. And that is a lot of this, like, just general softness, like, it's okay, and genuine patience. And I think that reminding ourselves with prayers or affirmations or meditations can be a really helpful thing. So I don't know that there was any conclusive point to this, other than to say, if you're going through a hard time, enjoy the pretty parts of it. And I know it can feel like I feel guilty finding any beauty in this situation, but I don't, because it happened, And if you're even dealing with a minor stressor, let it be an opportunity to soften as opposed to an opportunity to harden, because hardening takes a lot more energy. Softening may feel like it takes more energy in the beginning while you're getting used to it, but over time, I do believe that it's a way that in these really difficult experiences we default to, because it saves us energy physically and psychologically and spiritually. So I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on that. And I'll get back to your regular kind of confidence sort of videos soon, but thank you for listening, and please leave a comment if any of this resonated or if you have any thoughts to share. Thank you so much for watching, and subscribe to the Powerful and Poised newsletter if you'd like a little bit more.